Well, the interview itself is unprecedented, but what he said is even more astounding. The head of Canada's Security and Intelligence Service has divulged some shocking information to CBC News, revealing details about foreign government espionage right here on Canadian soil involving Canadian politicians. Richard Fadden made it clear CSIS is now keeping an eye on those politicians. It all came out during the extraordinary access CSIS gave to our former senior correspondent, Brian Stewart.
Canada's Security Intelligence Service rarely talks publicly. When it does, people listen. In an exclusive interview with CBC, the CSIS director Richard Fadden exposed foreign penetration right into Canadian politics.
We're in fact a bit worried in a couple of provinces that we have an indication that there's some political figures who have developed quite an attachment to foreign countries.
Fadden's most startling revelation: cabinet ministers in 2 unnamed provinces are under control of foreign governments, what are in espionage circles called agents of influence or secret supporters. So, for that matter, are several members of BC municipal governments.
A number of countries take the view that if they can develop influence with people relatively early in their careers, they'll follow them through. Before you know it, a country is providing them with money, there's some sort of covert guidance.
At least 5 countries are surreptitiously recruiting future political prospects in universities. China the most aggressively, but Middle East countries as well. It's not clear how much the government has been told, but leading intelligence experts today were startled by Fadden's timing on the eve of the G20 summit. It is possible CSIS feels compelled by a sense of profound national danger.
But very important principles of the rule of law and governance may have been compromised. So in that sense, I think CSIS may feel that it wants to let the public know, and indeed let those individuals and governments know that they're being scrutinized.
It remains to be seen what government will do now to blunt a growing foreign influence it has yet to even acknowledge.
This is pretty stunning stuff.
Absolutely. The intelligence experts I talked today they've never heard anything quite like this come out, and they're absolutely baffled to a certain extent, but think it must be because, again, CSIS is profoundly worried at the amount of infiltration there is in this country.
All right. Brian will be back with his second night on CSIS a little later in the program, and then I'll ask Richard Fadden for more details about his candid remarks concerning foreign espionage in Canada. I think most Canadians would be stunned to hear that. What exactly are you suggesting there?
I'm suggesting that at least one, possibly a couple of countries take a very, very long-range view of their efforts to influence Canada. You know, the days when you had somebody hiding, you know, in the Chateau Laurier behind a palm tree trying to steal a secret, I think are by and large long gone. You either do it through cyber or you do it this way, which is you find somebody, usually in your diaspora, you know, somebody who has a connection back to the homeland, and you start developing a relationship. In some cases, this is done in universities through social clubs and whatnot that are financed by embassies. And through time, you invite somebody back to the homeland, you pay their trips, and all of a sudden you discover that when an event is occurring that is of particular interest to country X, you call up and you ask the person to take a particular view.
Well, you know, I understand the problem, but the director of CSIS suggesting that there are politicians in this country, and now public servants as well, you're suggesting, without naming them, will raise a few eyebrows. In fact, you know, if I was a provincial cabinet minister, I'd say, hey, who are you talking about? Because you're swiping us all with this.
I think that's fair, and we just don't keep the information to ourselves. In the case of the couple of cabinet ministers, we're in the process of discussing with the centre how we're going to inform those provinces.
The centre being?
Sorry, the Privy Council Office, the Prime Minister's Department. Try and get a sense of how we would best let them know that there may be a problem. We'll do the same with the public servants. I'm making this comment because I think it's a real danger that people are be totally oblivious to this kind of issue.
When you say, though, let's take the case of a provincial cabinet minister, that you felt that that person has become too close, one assumes that you must have been monitoring this person fairly closely.
Well, I think that's a fair statement. I mean, under the law, we can monitor anyone. In the case of these individuals, it's developed over the years. They haven't really hidden their association, but what surprised us is that it's been so extensive over the years. And we're now seeing, in a couple of cases, indications that they are in fact shifting their public policies as a reflection of that involvement with that particular country.
Now, you never named any countries here, but you seem to be, it sounds like China.
Well, I'm not going to name any countries, but as I think I told Brian Stewart, there were a few stories in the media a couple of months ago, and I wouldn't say that those stories were entirely incorrect. And the country that you've mentioned, I believe, was mentioned in those stories.
Well, our full interview with CSIS Director Richard Fadden is now on our website. Just go to cbc.ca/thenational. You'll also find Brian Stewart's exclusive look inside CSIS. And check out our blog called Working in Shadows. You get a sense of the restrictions the spy agency placed on our team while shooting this story.